For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Karine Hannah. How's it going today, Karine?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's cold here in Texas, but I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you're not already dealing with out in New York.
Texas is, so what do you consider cold?
It is currently 34 degrees.
All right. Well, for Texas, that's cold.
Yeah.
Here it's like, I don't know, 11 degrees.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I grew up in Chicago, so
okay,
I know,
you
all
know.
about that.
Yeah.
Negative 400 degrees or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
so I know all about that. But first off, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to sit down and chat with you. Hopefully we've got the internet issues aside and don't have to worry about that anymore. So
I hope so.
But before we kind of jump into everything that you got going on, what's kind of your background? What got you into music?
It's the classic story of like when you discover at a very young age that you have vocal ability. I think, my parents, I think, pushed me into auditioning for some kind of semi-professional show locally. I'm from Montreal, Quebec. And so I remember getting up on the stage and auditioning, and I guess it was that good because I got a standing ovation. And, and I think seeing the crowd and realizing, oh, okay, well, I guess I have something. I'm onto something here. And then I think it was obvious, it was inevitable that that's what was going to happen. I was going to be pursuing this.
Gotcha. And so you're from Montreal originally, and now you're in New York. How long ago did you leave Montreal? Or how long have you, or I guess the better question is, how long have you been in New York?
Okay, well, I've been in New York a very long time. I came here in my teens.
Okay.
I'm not going to say how old I am now because we don't talk age in this industry. But I'm not old, but I'm not 21 is the ideal age for record executives. They like you between the ages of 18 and 21, and I'm not that. So, but to answer your question, it's hard to say exactly how long I've been here because I've been coming here. Montreal is not that far from New York. Mm-hmm. So I've been coming since I was a teen. And I would spend big bulks of time because I was signed to many record labels. Mm-hmm. and was doing a lot of very major projects. So I had to be here. So I feel like I've been living here for a long time, but maybe like permanently, I would say about 10 years.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. And I take it you love New York and don't want to be anywhere else?
I love the urban life. Mm-hmm. I really love it. I love that I don't have to deal with having a car. I love that you can walk anywhere, and also you could be by yourself and walk the streets. And, I don't know. There's just a vibe, there's a feeling to living here. I don't know how comfortable I'd be living anywhere else. I don't love the suburban life either. So yeah. I don't know, Yeah, I love it.
Gotcha. I don't know. I've lived in not the city. I'm going to just call it not the city for so long that living in the city just sounds like it's too chaotic for me.
Well, you can, the beauty of it is that, like you could stay inside and sort of get away from it.
Yeah.
And then, when you want to be in it, you can be in it. And, there's ways to live in New York City and not feel like, oh my God, this is chaotic. This is too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So when you were living in Montreal and you were like starting to realize that you had this ability to sing and you wanted to start pursuing your musical career, who is the who are some of your musical influences at that point in your life? Who are you listening to? Who are you inspired by? Stuff of that nature.
Okay, well, I was inspired by Top 40 radio. So whatever the current songs were of the moment. So I can't remember exactly what the songs, but I was very inspired by pop music.
Okay.
But I was very heavily influenced by the music that my mother was playing for me, because I think that when she heard my vocal abilities, she was a huge fan of like Barbra Streisand and Celine Dion and Gladys Knight, and some of these, big female vocalists, Tina Turner. So she was introducing me to these people because she was a fan of theirs, and she thought that I sort of fit in with these people. So I was very heavily influenced by those vocalists.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So just kind of fast forwarding a little bit, you've released a lot of cover songs. Well, reimagined cover songs, I guess, is a better way to work it.
Yes.
Because I was listening to your most recent one of Jump, and I was like, yep, that's a cover song, but that's like completely reimagined. We'll run with reimagined cover songs.
Thank you.
Do you you also write original music? What is kind of your creative process when you sit down to write music? And yeah, let's start with that question first.
Okay. No, because there's so much in with that, because you said, you're singing a lot of covers. Yeah. Everybody sings. Everybody seems to do a lot of covers. But I said, if I'm going to sing covers, I'm going to reimagine them, as you said. Otherwise, it really doesn't pay to just sing it, because anybody can sing it. So if you're going to do it and make it sound its own and fresh, which I think that I nailed with this Jump one.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, that I picked songs that I knew that I could reimagine, and songs you wouldn't necessarily expect to hear. Like, would you have expected ever in your lifetime for somebody to do a ballad version of a Van Halen song like that? No. You wouldn't. No. Okay. But to answer I'm sorry,
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I felt like I had to clarify reimagined because I didn't want it to come off that you were just doing cover songs.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because I'm more than a cover artist, like I had, two Billboard top hits that were original material. So yes, I'm also a songwriter, and I have written a lot of original music. And my creative process is usually, I like to collaborate with other people, because I feel like I'm not a great pianist or a great musician. So I like somebody to sort of like to bounce off of, somebody to sort of play melodies, and for me to grab things from what they're playing and come up with creative parts for the song. I find that's like the best way to build a song. And then lyric ideas, everybody tries to create lyrics from either their own experiences or things that they see in their life, and stories from their life. And I don't love to make songs like most people like to have songs that are personal to them. I like to go the most selfless route and not be selfish and about the lyrics that I'm writing, that it's for me and my own process. I like to write lyrics that are universal, that everybody can relate to, storylines and things that people can relate to. So that's what my creative process is. Gotcha.
And where are you kind of at in that? Like, obviously you've got the song that you just, or the jump lyric video that just released yesterday, and then you've got a new song dropping on the 11th of February. Is that correct?
That's right. Exactly.
Where are you kind of at as far as your own original music right now? Where are you at creatively?
creatively, I'm literally so focused on this particular project, this cover project. It's the project is called Inspired. And right now, this is what's really since COVID hit, this is what I've been so inspired by is finding songs from 4 different categories. So it's rock, 80s, classics, and in pop. In pop songs are like trendy songs from the 2000s, 2020, 2021, 2022, like the latest current trendy song. Yeah. So I felt like I needed to depart and sort of separate myself from original music. I feel like people really want to hear melodies that they already know. I think that they want to hear it, and not everybody's doing the songs that I'm reinterpreting. And I think that if I'm doing them correctly, then I think that there's an audience, you know. So this is where I'm at right now. I'm very inspired by my Inspired project.
Awesome. And that was something you mentioned that was something that came up during the COVID.
Yeah, because I think everyone in the music industry, at the height of COVID, we're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next steps? What are we going to do? We're all quarantined. We're all stuck here. And I have somebody part of my team who really, his name is James Duncan. He really said to me, you got to set up your somewhere in your apartment where you can record vocals and become your own vocal producer and your own vocal arranger and everything. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm usually like the diva that walks into a recording studio and, just stands in front of the mic and has everyone do everything for me. He says, I promise you can do it. So I invested in all this equipment and I set myself up, and he taught me. I spent a couple of months and he taught me everything virtually. We did it all virtually. It's amazing. We're lucky with the technology that we have nowadays for the things that we're able to do. Very thankful. So when I got hooked up and I learned how to do this and become my own vocal engineer, and it's been off to the races. Like, I'm addicted to it. I love it more than life itself. I love it. Yeah.
Nice. Because that's something that I've always kind of said that musicians should learn is at least the basics of production, whether or not they ever plan on doing their own production. But it helps, like when you step into a recording studio, if your voice is sounding like if you're listening in the headphones and your voice sounds flat, or something, how to communicate with the producer or editor without saying like layman terms that the producer has to guess what you're talking about.
Right.
So that's really cool that you were kind of forced, we'll say that, to learn how to.
No, completely forced. Completely.
Okay, completely forced. Since you worded it that way, I'll run with that. Since you were completely forced to kind of learn how to do production, what's one? Do you think it's helped your creativity at all, or what's one thing you've kind of taken away from learning how to do your own production?
Oh, that's an excellent question, I have to say. So I think it's made me like even a more polished vocalist, which I thought that I already was. I thought I was already but it's like a whole other level. And also the things that I've learned that I never would have had the opportunity to learn, like vocal producing, like background vocals and stacking of harmonies and creating backgrounds. Like I've come to the point where I think that I'm so great at it that I can like be hired for other recording sessions to figure out background vocal parts for tracks, for people's tracks. Like I didn't realize that I had the ability to do it and to do it so well. I'm really surprised. And it's all because I have the time and I'm here by myself and I'm sort of been forced to figure everything out for myself. I don't have a producer in the room with me, saying, okay, or hire, I'm not hiring other vocalists to come in and do the backgrounds for me.
Mhm.
I'm doing everything. And it's been a wild ride and such a creative learning experience. I'm just in heaven over it. Like, I mean, I really don't love the COVID situation,
Yeah.
but there has been some positives that have come out of it for me,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, and that's kind of what's helped me work my way through this whole thing is, yeah, over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of negative things that have happened.
Yeah.
But if you just look at the scope of the last 2 years, and it's like, oh, that happened because of COVID.
Right.
That's a good thing,
Right.
and just like all the different things that you were forced to do, like the podcast before COVID, it was something that we did once a month. And now it's something that we do between 4 and 7 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just one of those situations where I was forced to start using Zoom.
Zoom. Who ever heard of Zoom before COVID?
Yeah.
I didn't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was forced to start using Zoom, and I was like, well, I've already got to use it for work. So let's see what we could do as far as a podcast. And then everybody was like, oh, I'm free on this day. And then it was like, oh, I could do this more than once a month. And we were off to the races. So
exactly. But let's not, take away from, the tragedies and everything else. Like, with the good came a lot of bad. But yeah, for sure. For sure.
So do you see in a world out or after COVID, we'll just call it in a world after COVID, that you'll continue to do your own vocal production, or at least continue to try and learn and better yourself in that department?
So I would like to do as much as I can on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, even this past year, 2021, I did go to a recording studio, and I did work with other musicians and another recording engineer and another producer on a song for this project, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because the person that I worked with on the song thought that for this particular one, he wanted to be in the room for it.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted a different flavor that it would give to, so I think that I'm not going to not, be out of here and do stuff. But I think that it's going to be, the majority is going to be here, because I've become such a pro at it. It's really like, first of all, it's a big savings too, for whoever is, putting the budget in or whatever for the project. Yeah. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. So we've talked a little bit about this, and you've mentioned it a few different times, your Inspired project.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of go into a little bit more detail about what like we talked about, like what inspired the Inspired project, but what is it specifically?
So the Inspired project is going to be a catalog of reimagined covers from 4 categories. Rock, so it could be, rock songs from any era, but but a rock category. Classics, so songs that are just classic songs of the world, So one of the classic songs that I've already recorded is a song from a group called The Animals, called Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. There's, I'm about to record a David Bowie song called Life on Mars. That's like a classic song. It's not standards would, but these are classic songs that are forever. They're timeless forever. Then the other category is 80s, because I realized there's so much great 80s music, and they're great for transforming into like slower jams, like some of so I've done, I think in all the categories so far, I've recorded 80s songs the most, because there's so many great ones.
Yeah.
You know, and then the last category is the in pop category, which is trendy, you know, pop songs from today, current ones.
Mhm.
And so that one, I don't have as many going so far, but the goal is to have at least 10 songs per category at the end of all of this. And then you can, you know, get the whole collection, you know, of all the categories, or you could, you know, just download and stream the songs of your choice from each category. And I'm going to be releasing one probably every month from different categories, you know, just whichever one we feel we want to release and put promotion behind. Not every song on this collection will have that treatment. It'll eventually land on a digital platform.
Yeah.
Each one. So, you know, like I just finished recording an Olivia Rodriguez song,
Okay.
you know, and I have to say this category has been a challenge, you know, because I'm not that inspired by the music, like what's happening currently in music, I have to say, you know, so it's been hard to find songs that I would want to like reimagine and reinterpret. Yeah. So if you have any suggestions, you know, I'm open to suggestions.
For sure. You know, it's one of those things where that specific genre of the more like the more current day stuff, maybe that's where you just get a little bit more creative. And yeah, you're looking at the top 40, but you find like B-side cuts of like top 40 artists. You know, if you get what I'm saying, where they took a little bit more of a chance and it's not like this overproduced, overhyped pop music, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I was willing to look at that, you know, because I felt a little desperate because I was having trouble really, you know, finding something that I can relate to or even want to record. Yeah, I mean, I still haven't found even one of those, but if there's a really good one, you know, believe me, I'll be all over it for sure. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I've spent so much time over the last 2 years just diving deep into the independent scene that I turned on the our local top 40 station the other day, and I knew nobody on the top 40 station.
Oh my gosh.
Other than Ed Sheeran and Olivia Rodrigo, like those were the two names that I'd kind of heard because I'd been following Ed Sheeran for a long time. But, you know, everybody else, it was like, yep, I have no idea who any of these people are.
Well, there's a lot of like names and they all sound similar, you know, and I think that like next month, you're not going to even hear their name again. Yeah. Like they have a song at the moment kind of thing. It's more, you know, there's so many of them. I can't even keep up with them, but, you know, but then there's like you know, like the 10 artists that are there inevitably, like Billie Eilish and Dua Lipa and Adele, you know, so there are some that, you know, and Justin Bieber, unfortunately, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, I used to give Justin Bieber a lot of crap just because I didn't like his music. And then I started remembering where he came from. And it's like, there's a music.
From Canada. He's from Canada.
Yeah. Well, and he got found on YouTube doing acoustic songs. And it's like, there's a musician in there. He just got sucked up into the machine at such a young age that now he doesn't even know what kind of an artist he is.
Right. And you know what I have to say, like his songs like now are a little bit better quality than the music he started off doing. I have to give him that. But I know he's not fully responsible for it. He's got, like you said, a big machine behind him. Yeah. It's hard to not think of him, that whole package, you know, it's very hard, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. So so the Imagine project, you're doing 4 categories at about 10 songs per. So you're looking at releasing 40 songs?
Probably, yeah.
Assuming that you could find 10 current present day songs that are worth reimagining.
Yeah. So far I have 2 and I'm on my 3rd one. So Yeah, and I better hurry up because soon they're not going to be so. If I wait so long, they're not going to be so current.
Well, that's the thing, kind of going off of what you talked about a little bit ago, is giving it a little bit more time, because the turnover rate on some of these more popular songs and these pop artists, in 3 months, a song that you record today may be completely irrelevant.
Oh, they could be, and maybe then people will appreciate them again, like in a reinterpreted way, because like they were shoved down everyone's throat for like so long. For example, like the first one I recorded was Miley Cyrus, Midnight Sky. So I did that one, and I think it's a fairly good song. I have to give her credit. I like, her what she's been doing lately.
Yeah.
But so I think it was played and overplayed, on the radio, and it was really one of those songs. So I think that people will be happy to have a break from it. So maybe by the time they'll hear it from me, it'll be sort of fresh again, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that song. Yeah, there's been, 50 million since then, but it's great. So I guess, I can't look at it that way. I just have to, do good music, and good things will follow.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So you've released Jump, which is a Van Halen reimagined cover. Why did you choose that song specifically? Why did that song speak to you?
So during COVID, I was on the phone with a friend who was devastated when Eddie Van Halen passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how it started. And he's like, oh, why don't you do a Van Halen song? And I have to say, like, I'm not that familiar with their music, and I'm not a big fan, although I think that Eddie Van Halen was a guitar god. And I think that David Lee Roth was, one of the great, front men, like for these rock groups of that time period. So honestly, I would have never in a million years thought to choose a Van Halen song. And of all of Van Halen song, I never liked Jump because of the synthesizers. I hated the synthesizer sounds,
Yeah.
It just wasn't my thing. It's so 80s, like you can't get more 80s than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that's not a singing song. I'm like, why would you choose that? There's nothing there. So we got off the phone, and I thought that my friend was crazy. And I remember getting ready for bed. And sometimes when people, if we speak of a song, all of a sudden it'll run in my head subconsciously. And I think that all of a sudden I started singing it, not realizing. I think I was taking a bath or something. And I slowed it down subconsciously, and I started singing it the way that you hear the recording.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? This is, wow. This is Jump, but it's its own song. Yep. And I was like, this is it. I have to do it. It's so beautiful. And I never really listened to the lyrics. Did you ever really listen to the lyrics?
No.
Right. Who really cared about those lyrics? And now when I'm singing it, there's actually like beautiful lyrics there. It's a beautiful, tender ballad, that could have a lot of meanings, but I don't know. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, this is perfection. So that's how it happened. And it really, it became like a tribute to Eddie.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's really cool. And then you've got your next drop coming on February 11th, which is a Journey song, Separate Ways. What was kind of the thought behind selecting that song?
So I have a couple of different people that I'm working with, musicians that are helping to create some of the tracks. But I have a main producer who is my partner in this project. His name is Josh Harris. He worked with Seal and Britney Spears, and now so we're doing this project together. He's fabulous. But so I've also been working with this guy who's an incredible singer, songwriter, musician, an incredible pianist. His name is Scott Chaslin. He's based in New York, and we're friends. We're basically internet friends, but so I've had him collaborate on some of these songs, and I knew that I was going to have him do piano work on some of these songs, and I asked him to give me some suggestions, and he's the one that came up with Separate Ways. And Separate Ways of Journey songs is probably like my favorite Journey song. I didn't think of it. I didn't even come up with it, the idea. But then I started, we got off the phone. We don't talk on the phone, actually. We got off our messaging.
Yes.
And I started the same thing. I started singing it. I basically sang it the way that I heard it in my head. And I said, oh my God, this is it. This is it. We have to do this. And, it's also lyrics too have to mean something to me. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing. So I texted him back and I said, yes, we have to do this right now. So we actually just finished this one. And I have like 12 other songs that are ready to go. But for some reason, my heart told me that this needs to be number 2 release.
Gotcha. And so you've got 12, or you got 2 songs that are in the next month, or you've got by February, you'll have 2 songs out, and then you've got 12 behind it. And then eventually 26 more. I think my math is correct on that one.
Well, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I know that eventually all of them are going to land on digital platforms to be able to have for anybody. But I don't know how many singles we'll release from it, like that we're going to like promote and make a big deal about.
Gotcha. So you're not going to not going to release them all as singles. You're going to release how many ever it is, and then once you have all 40 ready to go, it'll just come out as like a double LP almost. Exactly.
Because it's almost like great album tracks. I have so many amazing album tracks, and of course, every single one are songs that everybody knows. But my reinterpretations, my reimagined versions of them. But some of them need to come out as singles because they should be promoted.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like the whole idea behind the project, because you're essentially taking songs from different genres that essentially inspire you creatively, because like just listening to you talk, it's each one of the songs that or the Jump, and then this the Journey song that you're going to release in February. It's just kind of like, it seems like it just hits you, and you get that instant inspiration to be like, oh, I know how I'm going to approach this.
Absolutely. It's like, I know how I'm going to approach it. It's made for me. I feel like I should be singing these songs, and I should be interpreting them like it needs to be heard. Like that's how I feel. It's such a strong feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you kind of continue working through that process, as you continue working through the process of picking the songs and recording, you said you have 12 other than the Journey song that are recorded already?
Yep.
Cool. And so what's kind of going through your mind right now as you're like in the thick of things as far as production goes for this massive project?
That I'm anxious to have all the songs done and have everybody be able to like get the whole collection. Like really ecstatic about it and excited. But at the same time, I don't want this project to ever end, because I'm loving it so much. it's so much fun. And I think that what's going to happen, it's sad but true, is that even when I get to like 10 songs per category and it's kind of over, I'm always going to be trying to think of the next great reinterpretation, next reimagined cover, and I might have to just record it. And there's going to be reimagined covers like until I die. I think that's what's going to happen. Like till I can't sing anymore. And even when I'm walking with a cane, I'll still be reimagining cover tunes. And probably in between that, I'll do like another original project. Yeah. But I think this is always going to be there.
Yeah. And that's kind of what was running through my head when, as you were talking about it, it's like, it almost seems like this could be like the never ending project essentially, because you could almost like, because you put a number on it and it's like, that's cool. So you kind of have an end goal in mind, but you could almost be like, okay, I'm only going to release singles of reimagined covers of songs that really inspire me. And just so because I think the issue that you're going to ultimately run into is you're going to get down to like the last 15 songs and it's like, oh, well, nothing's inspiring me right now. And I'd be kind of concerned that you'd force it. You get what I'm talking?
Yeah, and then end up recording songs that are not really working. Yeah. So I would never want that. And I have to say, thankfully, so far, like in all these songs, the 14 or 15 in total, I don't remember even how many I have. Yeah. Thankfully, they're all like so fantastic and so amazing, but yes, because there's moments that there's ideas that get rolled around, from my producer or Scott, the pianist here that I work with, that for a minute we think we're onto something, and then I'm like, no, it's no. Or we try it, we just try a little bit, and then we scrapped it. Like I've already scrapped one song, like that I actually spent so much time recording a vocal, but I ended up hearing it back, and I said to my producer, it's not working.
Yeah, I completely understood. Yeah. So that's obvious. That's a project that you're working on, and you've mentioned that at some point you would like to try and start working on a originals project. But outside of music, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do to kind of decompress from the stresses of day-to-day life?
Yeah. Well, my favorite hobby is sleeping.
Yep.
That's number one. So if I'm not sleeping and I'm not eating, I do like to paint. I paint abstract art. So I have like 1 million canvases on the walls of my apartment. So that's another thing that I love. It's a really great de-stressor. Yeah. During COVID, the height of COVID, between music and painting, it's been incredible. So I love that. And then I love sending it to a framing store to see the end result framed. It's really an amazing accomplishment. It's really amazing. Yeah. So those are the main things that I like to do. Yeah. Nice. Sleeping, eating, and painting, and music.
Nice. You brought up sleeping. That's what I was doing before the podcast. I was at this weird space where it was like, it was too early for dinner, but it was too late for lunch. And so I just ate whatever I had at that time. And I put myself into a food coma. And I went and laid down, and I woke up and it was like 8:30. And I'm like, okay, well, that was pretty well timed. So I got up.
Absolutely. Food comas are the best. That's the best. That's when you get the best sleep.
Oh yeah. I didn't realize how loud my TV was, like, cause I was watching The Irishman on Netflix. I fell asleep almost as it started, and I woke up right as it ended. I was like, wait a minute, did I really just sleep for 3.5 hours?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a TV blaring and you're still sleeping, you know that you're in the best sleep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I enjoy sleeping as well. It's good fun. And then the abstract art, that's really cool. I've always really admired people that can do that, because I tried doing it in high school because we were required to take an art class. And I tried to do abstract art, but it just ended up being abstract, not really art.
Yeah, I think that, ultimately abstract art is like anybody can do it, but it's about having an eye for like placement of color and design, where things should land, even though, it could be just scribbles. You could take a pen and scribble on a canvas, like and that's some people might think it's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's subjective, but yes, it also sometimes it takes like a good eye to know where things should be. So
yeah, for sure. So I don't want to keep you too much longer, because I just realized what time it is here, and equating that to Eastern time means it's an hour later than here. So
yeah. That's true.
So what's obviously you're working on the Inspired project, but what's the next couple of months look like for you? Are you doing live shows, or where are you kind of at in that realm of things?
Yeah. I'm obviously, I would love to get back on the stage. It's been too long for me. I know a lot of people have already had the opportunity to get back on stages, but for me, it's a much bigger undertaking to get my shows on, so I haven't been performing. The earliest that I would look to perform would be like late spring, early summer.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I might be touring with the Inspired show. Like that, I'm thinking that's what I would want to be promoting and performing live. I think it could make for a great show. Absolutely.
That would be really cool, because it would just be, it just like, I could see the promotions for it now. It would be really interesting. And I think a lot of people would show up just to hear that. And then, yeah, that'd be really cool. When you do live shows, what can people expect from a Karine live show?
It's not a typical live show, because, I'm kind of, my persona on stage is, I'm a little naughty. I'm a comedian. There's cabaret to my show. There's Vegas in my show, but then there's also like a rock chick. So I'm a combination of all these people on stage. So I take you on a trip with me. I make you laugh. I make you cry in a good way. I give you the chills. I make you feel things, but I also make you laugh your ass off. So, I take you all over with me.
Awesome. So one thing that we do on the podcast here, or actually there's two things that we do before we close out the show. The first one is a little bit more serious, and then we'll do the fun one here in a second.
Okay.
What we like to do is pass on knowledge to the younger generation, so we can continue to inspire and help the younger generations in music to ensure that there is a next generation of musicians, because the public school system is doing such an amazing job. What's one piece of advice, or advice in general, maybe not necessarily one piece of advice, some advice that you have for that young musician, maybe in Montreal, that wants to take that next step, or wants to pick up an instrument and learn how to play guitar, or whatever they want to start pursuing music or take that next step?
Well, the advice I would like to give is that we're fortunate nowadays, to have access to so many outlets, to be heard and to be seen, and the fact that you could do things on your own and you don't have to rely on, major labels anymore. So I encourage anybody who has the passion and the feeling to really, work at your craft and try to be the best that you could be. And also, there's so much to see. There's other musicians and other artists to look at on TikTok and all the social media platforms, not to look at other people too much, because it'll make you crazy, and it might just, get you to not want to pursue it, because you're looking at other people and thinking, oh my God, they're so talented, they're so great, because there's so many great musicians, so many great artists, but you have to kind of be focused on what you do and just try to be the best that you can be. And to know that there's a way to be seen and heard, and that you can do it on your own.
Absolutely. 100% agreed. So that was the serious portion. Now it's time for the fun side of things. I have a random question generator sitting right in front of me. And so we ask every guest one question from the random question generator. So if you are ready, I have your question right here.
Okay. What's the question?
Have you ever hitchhiked?
Have you ever hitchhiked? Oh my gosh.
And if yes, what is the story?
Okay. Let me think. Because that's like, that's a very random question.
Yep.
Okay, let me think. Have I ever hitchhiked? The answer would be yes.
Okay.
But it was in my dreams.
Okay.
It was not in real life.
Okay.
Because I was always taught that if a blonde chick is going to hitchhike, she's going to get killed.
You've been watching too many horror movies. Yeah,
probably. But I do remember having a dream where I was hitchhiking,
mm-hmm.
and I don't remember all the details, but I remember that I was stuck and I didn't have a choice, and I had to stick my thumb out and hitchhike, and I did get a ride. So, and everything worked out. I didn't get killed. I didn't get molested or anything like that. It was, I think we ended up at, what's that diner that in, Denny's.
Okay. Yeah.
You know that diner? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was my dream. We ended up at Denny's, but I don't remember what I ate, but
nice.
Yes.
Gotcha. That's cool. That is what the random question generator is. It's a little bit straightforward questions like that, or it's a little bit more random. It's a little bit more fun. It's something I started doing at the end of last year, and the questions we get are pretty amazing. So
yeah, this one, that's the most unusual question that anyone has ever asked me. So
cool. I like that's how I get remembered, is by asking questions that not a lot of people ask.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'll never forget that for sure.
Nice. Appreciate that. Awesome. So before we wrap this up, if anybody wants to check out the new music as it drops for the Inspired Project, or any upcoming shows or anything that's going on in your world, where's the best place for them to do that?
Okay. Well, obviously Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I'm on TikTok, but I don't pay attention to that enough. But I would say Instagram it's the Karine Hannah, or Facebook. I have 2 Facebook pages. It's just Karine Hannah. Just search my name, Karine Hannah, KarineHannah, and I'm there, and all the information should be there. I do have a website. It's being updated, so I wouldn't rely on it, but come check me out on Instagram. I live on there, so
awesome.
That's the place. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us a little bit here tonight. I'm really excited to hear the rest of the Inspired Project and what you got coming up next. So can't wait for all that to drop. And I look forward to seeing what else you have follow up the Inspired Project.
Yeah, I hope to sit down with you again soon. Definitely.
Yep. You are always welcome. Feel free to reach out whenever you are ready to do so. But once again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.
All right. Thanks again. Bye, guys. Bye.